Welcome, Smite fans, to an HFDL Husky Fang Premier Division match. We've got a couple of powerhouses with Panic at the Discordia versus YouGotDiff'd. This is an epic match that you do not want to miss. The last one before we go to brackets. I am Nathan DePaulo, and with me, my favorite solo laner. Say hello.
And it's Henergy,
That's
also
right.
on the cast.
Thrilled to have you. Thrilled to be here. Really looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. Like I said, this is the last one before we go into the finals, which Premier Division's got this whole crazy like round robin, and then you got to do something in the moonlight or whatever. The rules are weird. I don't understand them yet, but what I do know is this one is going to determine what we go into, and we're going to find out between these two teams who's got it. So we're getting right into picks and bans. We're starting off with some meta picks, although I am surprised to see Freya, who's sort of fallen out of meta. What do you think about that one?
I would say Armor Wolf has had such a good showing that it just seems like a respect ban at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So while she's fallen out of meta, I think it makes perfect sense into the team that they've got.
That's true. Armor Wolf is always in meta, and you really cannot discount just how effective he can make certain things. Freya, once she gets a lead, is just truly unstoppable. And then there goes the Lancelot. I really do like a lot of these bands: Nemesis, Lancelot, Raven, all three sitting at the top for a while. Kepri, I think a support that particularly can be frustrating. Panic at the Discordia. It begins.
And it begins with the Discordia. She's kind of gone through kind of a swing and roundabout. I think for a while she wasn't really popular. She's kind of crept back in both in the Pro League and in this league. Just great CC and then obviously buffing the top damager on your team. So really utilitarian all around.
Yeah, I think that passive comes in really strong. Now, I will say this: I wouldn't be surprised if Wingman Ghost has the passive. That guy gets damage off from the mid lane. But traditionally, a lot of the other roles, whether it's your solo laner early, your jungler mid game, your hunter late game, you take advantage of that Discordia passive. And as we're looking at a Daji Ao Kwong, questions come up. Okay, it was all a bait. It was a troll. Zilla locked in. I like Scylla mid lane, and I like Daji in the jungle. I think both strong picks.
I do as well, and I like the Daji with the Scylla. That's a lot of setup for a very high damage ult, which you like to see.
Mm-hmm.
You also get CC immunity coming out from both of them, which obviously has great value. Um, I don't know if I think Daji does okay into the Discordia. She can't get away too easily. She's got the little dash, but Daji has a longer one, so she'll have to position pretty carefully in order to not get picked off early.
Yeah, and Scylla is a pretty squishy mid laner as far as they go. Sorry, I meant Discordia is a squishy mid laner. Delicate, and the immunity frames can be strong, but once you're chained, I don't think you can use that dash, can you?
I don't believe so, no. Well, actually, it's not like Ares. I don't think it cripples, so you might still be able to, but it won't cleanse the chain.
It certainly
Um,
wouldn't cleanse it, and you'd have to time it really well. You'd have to know when the pull is going to happen, I guess. So X-Ball and Horus rounding out Panic at the Discordia. Horus a signature pick for
mhm.
Midman is playing on Midgoat. He he's on one of his other accounts at the moment, so that's why we couldn't find him earlier. And then the X-Ball. Talk to me about the X-Ball, because this one's kind of blowing my mind.
X-Ball, one of my favorite hunters, probably. I think kind of in a good place in the meta right now. Pretty decent at boxing, and that ultimate just provides so much disruption in those late to mid game team fights. And it's also a great way for X-Ball to snag some gold because just throwing that up, even if it's a fight you aren't a part of, you're still gonna nag those assists.
Oh yeah,
So,
that is nice, and just another way to get Armor Wolf ahead. Even
mhm.
if he's not there, he benefits.
Absolutely. Now, granted, I am of the opinion that Hi-Rez needs to revert his ult so that it stuns again, but I think that, I think that I'm in a minority on that point.
Well,
but I
he'd
think it's
shoot
still
up to
a.
top tier if they did.
Having said that, the Ho Yi is a pretty decent response, I feel like.
Hmm.
Great area of effect ultimate. Fairly safe, got a good leap, got some CC, got a little bit of everything. Uh, yeah. And then we've got, let's see, some support bands coming through to kind of round out the second part of this band phase.
Yeah,
With
the Ares.
Ares, yeah, that's interesting.
That one makes a lot of sense to me because you don't want an Ares and a Dodge stacked on top of each other. That's no good.
No, that is a beads burning nightmare for the opposing team. Although having Athena also a beads burning nightmare for the opposing team. Just maybe a little bit more telegraphed. Now we see Krazen hovering the Morrigan here, and if he locks it in, I think this will be the second Morrigan solo game we've seen coming out from him specifically.
That's right. Honestly, I'm surprised he didn't do the tier just to be his own little Deathwalker performance. But we have seen the Morrigan kind of go crazy on Krazen. I think if I remember correctly, it was a tough early, and I think you and I cast that game, and
Hmm.
I think he ended up doing remarkably well by the time that the team got going with it.
I think you're 100% correct. I think he started maybe 0 and 1, and by the end it was like a 9 and 1 and 8 stat line. It was something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, and
Um,
ridiculous is a good way to describe Krazen. That is true.
well, you said it, not me. No, yeah, it is ridiculous, and it is something that you can't really ban out either. Nobody really plans around the Morrigan solo.
Hmm.
Uh, it's just one of those kind of off the wall things that works, and you never want to dedicate a band to it, especially when you have things like the Freya, the Lancelot, the Uller, the Kepri on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've already locked in their mid laner. And so, like, who thinks that the Morgan's going to come out after Discordia is already locked in? We got Young Cub on the East set support. This is something I see rising to prominence recently, which I think it's actually pretty valuable. I think ESET's got a lot of support qualities.
Hmm. I think she does. I mean, between the just the sheer amount of CC, the damage mitigation coming out from the ult, she really is a very utility support style of mage. And while she doesn't do as much damage when she's building full tank, it's not nothing, and it's great objective secure, which they do kind of need with this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to say a couple of things about ESET that I don't think get talked about enough because so I've been aware of her passive. You know, gives you HP5, MP5 for every death that you witness. Which in a game like this, there's going to be a lot of deaths, and having that
Hmm.
extra MP5, HP5 is a supporty thing to do because it is an aura. It affects your team. There's damage mitigations in the aura, and that applies regardless of your build. And even though your in your ultimate there's damage mitigations.
Hmm.
Um, Even though the ult scales on power, a fully charged ESET ult, even with the zero power build, is still pretty good objective secure, and it's still a pretty good heal. So all of that together is pretty crazy.
It really is. And it'll be interesting to see with their triple mage comp that they've drafted, which I didn't think I would be saying in the Premier League, but that's the state of things right now. It
It
will be
really
interesting
is.
to see how they go about fighting into this YouGotDiff'd team.
Yeah.
ESET no CC immunity in the kit inherently. Same with the
Mhm.
Morgan. Almost the same with the Shablanca because you only get the CC immunity for those few frames. So, and they have a lot of beads burning on the side of You Got Diffed between the
They
Athena,
do.
the Daji, the Scylla. Everybody's got a little something. So,
Even the Osiris, he's
even the
chasing you
Osiris.
down. Those tethers come out. You don't want to be sitting there. If you got beads and you know there's a Scylla trying to close the gap, you want to get out of there. And it could be tough to be an ESET in that situation. Dodgy gets a pull, and ESET all by herself. Well, what's she gonna do? Wing gust out of 5? I don't know.
Yeah. You're going to wing gust very slowly out of 5
Yeah,
because they have a lot of slows in addition
yeah,
to all of the CC. So,
that's
the
absolutely
hard
true.
CC, I should say.
the dodgy combos with the Scylla ult, the Hu Yi ult, really strong, and potentially being able to taunt someone to stay in the Hu Yi ult longer, also really strong. So, all of this is showing, I think, a good combination team from YouGotDiff'd. I think that what we're seeing out of Panic out of the Discordia, what we're seeing out of Panic is, I guess, a lot of utility. Each
Mhm.
one of these mages brings a specific utility. Horus Jungle also has that utility, being able to get the team around, and then X-Ball has that ultimate, which we already talked about. And so it's really going to be interesting to see which of these two vastly different strategies plays out better.
Yeah, it'll partially come down to execution. I think a lot of it's going to come down to just how well the team fight goes.
Yeah.
I think for as good as Iset can be in a support role, she still can't quite match the tankiness a lot of the time of somebody like an Athena,
Hmm.
or an Osiris for that matter. So
Well,
we'll just have to
so
see.
while we get people moved around and in the right spots and everything, we always like to ask, who do you think won picks and bans? I'm going to throw that same question to the chat, who I hope is going to jump in there and add their own thoughts. Who do we think won picks and bans, regardless of the players piloting the gods?
Regardless of that, it's tough to say. I think in this instance, I probably favor the traditional comp just a little bit more. I think that given room to do what they're designed to do, I think that their comp does triumph come the late game. Um, Having said that, and incorporating the players piloting them, I don't want to say it's a toss up, but it could literally go either way here. I
I
think
agree
that,
with you.
yeah.
I really do like the traditional pick from You Got Diffed in that, like I said, the Hu Yi, the Scylla following up on Athena taunts on the regular, dodgy ults when it's up. I mean, it's really good traditional fundamental smite, and the problem or the benefit to Panic's strategy is its high execution. It requires them to really perform to be able to make it work, which if anyone can do it, they can. We'll just have to see.
We'll just have to see. Yeah. I am interested just because of solo lane things. I am curious as to how the Osiris Morgan matchup goes. Uh,
Well, so tethers reveal invisible enemies, don't they?
they do, which will be helpful, but I think she might actually have the clear advantage early, because I think that she's itemized towards that conduit gem. And while Osiris gets cleaves, he's not he doesn't have any power besides the death's toll. So
Yeah.
he might be at somewhat of a disadvantage there. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
it does look like she has the conduit gem into the warlock staff, so at least a power start.
Oh
Uh,
no. Oh no, Discordia not picking up a red buff. I'm going to assume that there was a DC, maybe a brief one, as they try and figure this out. Going back to that solo lane clear, I totally agree with you. I think that Osiris has good clear for a warrior, but it's really hard to compete with the Morgan, who has not only like a very short cooldown on her main clear ability, 6 seconds, I think, but then on top of that has that third auto, which gets an AoE dot effect. And so Morgan Clear level 1 is pretty stellar.
okay. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It is pretty decent, and it is a little deceptive. It looks like we may need to go to intermission. It looks like there might be a PC issue of some
Oh, I see.
sort. So,
Well, we've
or
got the game set up.
we've
No,
got,
go ahead.
or we can talk about God builds for a second because we've got that available.
We
Uh,
do have that. So let's see. I'm taking a look. It doesn't look like chat's got anything crazy to say, so I'm just gonna say, why don't we riff it for just a minute, see how quickly they can get back together? Because what I think I'm gonna be most interested in is the hunter builds, because we do see a death toll on the X ball and we see the cowl on the Hu Yi, and I feel like hunter builds are pretty well solved, but then there's a couple of gods that get those exceptions. So I feel like that's something we can discuss for a second.
I think so as well. I think of the two, Leather Cowl probably a little bit more team focused. Just giving the aura out, especially with those upgraded versions. We've seen people pulling out the Leader's Cowl to give extra power.
Mm.
So there's that. On the other hand, Death's Toll, I think, gives you better sustain once it's upgraded overall. So better for the individual, maybe not as much of a team-wide bonus.
Yeah,
Uh,
the one thing I will say is at this very early level, you don't have any additional attack speed when you've got Death's Toll, but you do when you're with your support on the cowl. And at this early level, just a little difference in attack speed can make a difference. And so, with this scrappy fighting Hu Yi, it might be difficult for the X Ball not to get behind in this first early couple of exchanges.
it might, yeah. Both of them don't have the best clear for the first couple levels. Obviously, most X balls are gonna probably build toward the bolas early, which will help. With Ho Yi, I mean, obviously you're getting the ricochet first, but you're not really going to be getting a ton of damage out early on. So
Yeah.
then it becomes a question of does the E set level 1 outclear an Athena level 1? And it's difficult to say with
It
those
it
particular
is.
builds.
I will tell you, I think, and this is not checking the numbers, so this is just going straight on instinct. I think that Athena Shield Wall does more damage to back archers. The advantage that the Eset has is she can hit front to back with all four wing gusts. And of course, this is an Eset who built no power, no damaging starter item going into low nose, and so I think that it kind of comes down to just clearing back archers first help because I think that Athena and Hu Yi will be able to do that with a round of their abilities, or the fact that they're getting damage onto the whole wave with the E set and then the bolas. Which one's going to win, and is it going to be by much? Or because I can tell you this: if once they hit level 2, Cub and Armor Wolf will go for the fight, whether they've outcleared or not. Once they hit level 2, they're going to see what they can get away with.
Absolutely. And it does look like that Athena did get the dash first. So I
Hmm.
think the base damage on that is actually less than the wing gust. So it'll be interesting to see quite because it's 80 plus 50, and I don't think she has any power to start. So
Yeah, I'm actually surprised about that because there is a pretty appreciable difference between the shield wall and the dash when it comes to damage. I think that so we got the 35 per tick, so that'd be 70, 100 and 140. Kind of surprised, and then only 80 from the dash. We were just looking at on the Athena. That's pretty substantial. Um, yeah, I think this is going to go in the way of Panic now that we've kind of run the numbers. Unless going Dash gets Athena there so much earlier, because, but I don't see how it could if you got to use it for damage.
yeah, I agree with all of that.
Mm.
Um, Now, one other kind of as we're talking about supports, it does look like Athena is maybe itemizing towards a first item breastplate. Uh, so I would guess a breastplate of valor. So not
Interesting.
really going to be providing those auras that we often will see in that first item slot.
Yeah, I don't think any auras in this tree, whatever she's going for. I would assume the cooldown would be the answer. On a team with 3 mages, I think that's an interesting choice.
It is. It is. And it does look like Wingman has reconnected, so we can continue on.
And the game is afoot. We're going to
Game
find
is
out what
afoot.
happens. Well, all the predictions that we made will determine if we're if we're on the track or not. I do also want to highlight Conduit Gem on the Scylla.
Hmm.
The then cooldown Sands of Time on the Discordia. Um, that might have an effect as well. I think Discordia having an advantage in the early clear.
I think it will. I think Conduit Gem is just the better item right now. Uh, both a, both unupgraded and upgraded. I think the clear it gives you is just so much of an advantage. Early gank onto the Morgan, probably about 50% health there. But
Oh,
Osiris is still level 1.
He is, and they're both level 2, and they have stuns. Next ability kills that Osiris. Oh, but the damage on the Morgan is so bad.
Though. Oh,
You're
huge
right about
trade
that.
out.
Huge trade out. First Blood going to panic though, with Osiris falling first. So if you gotta make the trade, it's worth it for First Blood.
Yeah, and that's 1 death each on the solo laners with 1 assist each, and each of the junglers getting 1. So not great if you're a solo laner, but I guess it's better to have something.
Yeah, it's really about keeping up with the Joneses, isn't it, in the solo lane, as much as anything. Just not letting the other guy get too far ahead. Damage going towards Panic at the Discordia by a lot. Stun was just off the mark.
Yeah, stun just off the mark. So much poke in this lane before 2 minutes, which I love to see. Probably is giving the other team a bit of a heart attack, trying to dodge all of these things getting thrown at them. But
Bolo's just absolutely eating up that lane. Oh, but the taunt under tower, both taking a tower shot each. They want that kill. They're going to have to settle for the side harpies.
Yeah, and probably good that they don't try and do a sub 3 minute dive there, because that's just a recipe for disaster. Towers are deceptively damagey for the first 10 minutes of the game.
Junglers hanging out in the new duo lane. A lot of damage returned back. Osiris very low. I would say right now YouGotDiff'd on the back foot with their health bars being what they are and the minion wave pushing.
Yeah. We are going to see a blue invade come out. I think that's probably the right call, and they're going to secure it without too much of an issue. Yeah, that Horus pick just provides so much pressure early on. Just a lot of CC in that kit.
Yeah, it really does. And the damage, for that matter, the clear, is really quite impressive. You know, the Horus jungle... Not an easy thing to make look great, but something that Midman manages to do really well, I think, every time I see it.
Yeah. Always manages to showcase just the different ways in which you can utilize his kit. I feel like I learn something new every time I watch. Yeah.
And what I learn is I don't want to be on the receiving end of those Horus ganks.
Yeah, I learned that, and then I learn, oh, I can't do that. I guess it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
And we got a red buff invade coming out, just, again, with the poke onto the Daji, just not able to contest these.
Right now, the duo lane putting pressure on their own, with the jungle putting pressure on the right. But Young Cup deleted by the I'm a Monster. Excellent ultimate from the Scylla, cleaned up by Rousseau on the Athena. Yeah, Chubby Ostrich definitely doing work for his team.
Absolutely, and that was a great CC chain to prevent the E set from slipping away.
That's something we talked about in Picks and Bans might be a problem.
It is. And looking at player damage, the Xbalanque kind of jumping out to an early lead, and I have to imagine that quite a bit of that is just a lot from the brawling that we saw at the beginning. Just back and forth, Bola's causing havoc.
Absolutely, and X-Ball's passive is built by damage, and so you just come out the winner anytime you trade. Even if you don't come out with more health than the opponent, you came out with more passive, and that'll help you the next time. Oh, he went in with that dash. That was a bold play.
It was a bold play, and it was also sort of not a lackluster Ho Yi ult, but I don't know that he needed to do that there.
Yeah, almost ulting wave, but not quite.
Yeah, it was slightly off center, and he ended up having to finish at least one of those minions under the tower. So, and kind of talking about jungle builds for a minute, both of them have itemized. Oh, what will he go? Okay, transforming into the Daji.
With a little no you moment, but then the return Powwow to CC immune it. Oh, the beads are used. Just the Morgan gets away, but has to use the ult to survive. That was a big commitment with 4 of YouGotDiff'd over at that blue buff.
Yeah, that was big, and they did get the Morgan ult, they got the beads, and think they got the Scorpion right there.
It looks like they did.
Oh,
I don't
that was
see
a
any
great strife. Lock 3 of them together.
YouGotDiff'd playing this very well at this early game. I feel like the one kill that they had done on them, they returned immediately, and now they're up a kill. They're trying to get XP where they can get it. In the face of high pressure, which Panic is doing very well.
They are
Settle
indeed.
comes out.
Oh, that's going to be a quick kill. A Horus combo into a disco ult. That's going to kill most squishies early on. So
yeah, the Scylla had used beads in a previous Horus dash, and so they knew to just swing back around, and the full commit was applied.
Absolutely. Could we get a quick look at warding? I'm seeing some of them, but okay, we've got one there, we've got one there.
Yeah, pretty good wards coming out of Panic. I'm not seeing quite the same ward coverage from YouGotDiff'd. Deep wards, but not much to warn them about the aggressive positioning. Well, speaking of knowing that the beads were down and coming back around, Value taking out Krazen after the heals of an earlier gank that didn't work out. Armor Wolf getting the kill onto Paxi. I'm a Monster's up, but it doesn't do much other than a little damage on the Horus.
Yeah, it really doesn't. I think as useful as Chronos Pendant is, it's really not going to give you quite that Scylla burst off the top that you would expect. Having said that...
yeah, Cub out of position, I think. It looked like the fight was over, and he was like, but what if I int here?
Sometimes you just int, you know?
Sometimes you do.
Oh, great taunt. Good kiting. I don't think Scylla dies here, but I don't think Scylla can really pursue this either.
I do agree. Meanwhile,
good work from Value.
Another time. That is 0-3 for Krazen on this Morgan solo. A difficult role to make useful. I think susceptible to ganks is the issue.
Susceptible to ganks, and I think it was really a good play on the part of YouGotDiff'd to draft somebody with tick damage. Because if there's anything that a Morgan hates, it's tick damage.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And we can kind of see that because the Daji's jumped to a 3-0 stat line pretty early on in this game.
I think all three going to the Morrigan.
I think you're correct.
Yeah. And so the other kills here from the Scylla and the Athena are the other deaths. Both Young Cub, I think, in that case. So we're kind of seeing how it's laying out. Having said that, the gold is largely even. Kills are close to even, and so these two teams are pretty well matched at this moment. 9 minutes in.
Yeah, they really are. 700 gold, not an insurmountable lead by any stretch, and probably about on par with what we would tend to see with this amount of kills this far in the game. Having said that, another fight breaking out. Oh my goodness,
Jed before she could get out of it.
Yeah.
With the ultimate down, probably was looking for a target to dash to, but just couldn't get the animation off. Horus has such a just malicious CC chain. If you time it right.
Oh, I think that might be a follow-up kill, and that's 5 kills going the way of the Horus.
Absolutely.
Wow. Oh, and good job by the Ho Yi to get that Ricochet steal. Well, I don't want to call it a steal. It was his buff. He was just claiming it.
Was his buff. So. But the secure was good.
The secure was good.
Oh, it's hard to be a Scylla. Oh, she does get the dash.
Oh.
I'm a monster to get out. The movement speed is good. And the rest of Panic decides to call it off. Probably going to see what they can get elsewhere.
And the Morrigan rotating all the way to mid. That's going to give Osiris kind of free reign of that solo backline. Or back lane, rather. I feel like we've seen this story before.
We have, again, beads used by Krazen to get out. Oh no, he didn't. I don't know how he didn't get pulled. It might have been a detransformation thing.
Oh, that could be. I don't
no, he did. I was looking at the wrong side. Beads just used. We just didn't see it on the map, and so I was a little confused. Yeah, it is so tough to be right now. I think the Morgan. One of the aspects to these transforms, there's certain gods that whoever ults last wins. Dodgy is one of them. Ares is another. You know, you're CC immune until it's over, and so whoever's ult is over first loses. Midman picking up another kill on Rousseau, but Chubby Ostrich getting a kill with the Scylla, got the reset, more damage onto the Morrigan. She's a little over half.
Lots of great poke.
Damage out. Yeah, lots of damage coming out. Morgan gets a stun on the Osiris, a root on the Osiris. Midman was able to chase down Dodgy, takes out value.
We got the Athena ult coming in as well, and a Ho Yi rotation. Oh, that's going to be a lot of shutdown gold.
Yeah, shuts down Midman, and Krazen dies as well. Armor Wolf also shows up, getting damage off on Paxi, his lane opponent. So it's just a matter of seeing how these last two go. Wingman gets some damage. Osiris 10% health. Young Cub is back. The fight lasted so long.
He's back, and I don't think he catches the Osiris here.
I don't think he does.
I also don't think he has the damage, even if he did catch him. So
he'd get the stun, he'd wing gust, he'd auto, and we wouldn't even be able to tell Osiris took damage.
Absolutely. And Osiris, now that we can see a little bit more of the builds, first item, Stone of Gaia. Which is interesting because I think there's only one knockup on the team, but he's that concerned about the Horus, which 7-1 Horus, hard to fault him for that logic. But just good for the regen.
That's got to be a specific. I don't want to deal with Midman's because it's you know, Midman's Horus is definitely a signature pick. Having a specific item to deal with him, I think that makes sense. So, yeah, I'd love to see player damage. I'm curious who on Panic has got that. Oh, yeah, it's the X-Ball, obviously. Armor Wolf piloting the X-Ball, just top player damage right now, getting that buff, keeping it. You know, you love to see it.
You love to see it, and at this point, I think it's safe to say we've got a support Discordia in the game with a 1-0-7 stat line.
Yeah, those roots doing things. Oh, Armor Wolf gets the kill on Value, who I guess he just found in the jungle with low health. Running back, doesn't look like he's going to miss a minion from his wave. Now I'm a monster out to save the Scylla. Ultimate from the Athena, save the Scylla. Iset walks right through I'm a monster, gets grabbed, deletes Midman. Set low, Armor Wolf kills Paxi off screen, and so now we've got 2 down for YouGotDiff'd. Only 1 currently dead for Panic. Question is, what are they going to do with this person advantage, if anything?
It is kind of a weird situation. Young Cub's not quite tanky or healthy enough to maybe tank the Gold Fury. They could probably do it with like a trade-off. They've got 3 of them over there, but they do have it warded.
That YouGotDiff'd has. Oh, the Athena in trouble with 3 there. Scylla might be able to save. Just seeing her was enough to get Panic to back off.
Yeah, and at this point, Athena's got a finished, just finishing up the Pestilence, so she shouldn't be quite as burstable at this point.
Oh, she's diving in on the E-set.
Man, this is the Chubby Ostrich show right now.
It really is. Discordia says, sucks to be you, buddy. I'm not going to stick around for that.
Absolutely. Now, at this point, Xbalanque's got about a 3-level lead. And that is going to be the beads.
Yeah, with the whole team there, just about. I don't blame him for beads in that.
No, not in the slightest. That was for sure a kill. But they are going to use that pressure to look at this Gold Fury, and they might be able to get it mostly... I guess we've got the Horus posturing. Okay, and it is going to be secured by the I'm a Monster from Scylla, but that's not the end of the fight. Disco ult coming in. Oh boy.
Yeah, Midman gets the kill on Value, so that's the jungle taken out. Athena trying to ult to safety. I think manages to do it.
Oh man, what a ricochet.
4 under tower. Horus going in, looking for more Value. Dies for his efforts. Armor Wolf picking up 2 kills though on the heels of it, and they're impossibly low, sitting under tower. Oh, but Eset dies. Armor Wolf
Oh
gets
my
a
goodness.
third and a fourth. That is a quadra kill, wiping YouGotDiff'd. Insane play out of Armor Wolf, only trading the jungler and the support. Those guys were expendable from the beginning. What a play coming out of Panic. They lost the Gold Fury, but I think won the fight solidly enough to make it absolutely worth it.
Absolutely worth, and I think they even ended up with more gold than at the start of the fight. So even with the Gold Fury going down,
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's going to say
smoke.
no to a quadra kill.
No one's gonna say no to a quadra kill. The benefits from getting those repeat kills definitely are excellent for your team, feeding your carry, keeping him top damage. This is Panic's win condition right now. It looked like shaky grounds, but they absolutely hustled.
They really did. And now we're kind of settling into that mid game. We're at the point where most of these players have 3 to 4 items online, and I mean, with that last fight, that was a barroom brawl. You know, things getting thrown around, lives were lost, objectives were stolen.
There's carnage and mayhem everywhere we look.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Now at this point, Panic has accrued around a 3k gold lead. So not super significant, and the kills also aren't, there isn't a huge disparity there. So this is still like a one-team fight sort of game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're still fairly close. This is not an absolute runaway. We are seeing some momentum building. Oh, but the shutdown on Armor Wolf, that is huge for YouGotDiff'd.
That is huge. That's going to be so much gold.
That is so much gold. I was just looking at it. There was a 4k difference. There's only 2k now. I mean, if that, we're almost to 46, 1500. Yeah, 1500 gold difference. Oh, the pal out to the Scylla ult. Tanky boys.
Yeah, that ESET ult really doing work with the damage mitigation.
You're absolutely right.
But even
Didn't
so,
even pick that up.
Yeah, but that's going to be the first death for Disco, and a really good opportunity for YouGotDiff'd to kind of either take some objectives or posture toward fire. Oh, these dodgy clones are killing me. I can't tell which is which.
Yeah, who's who? It's one of those, I don't know which one's the real one. I don't know which one to shoot.
Yeah. We've lost control of the situation.
Absolutely.
And we've kind of got some interesting, maybe not disparities, but some interesting level comparisons here. Because in the solo lane, we've got kind of a 2-level difference going the way of Panic. In the middle, we have a 1-level difference going the way of YouGotDiff'd. And it seems to be kind of evenly split across the board in that way. And you can kind of see that reflected in the stat line. Like, obviously, Armor Wolf's going to be furthest ahead with, 9, 2, and 16. Or, not 16, 9, 2, and 6, excuse me. And Chubby having 5, 2, and 4. I'm going to pause on that, as that's going to be Young Cub attempting to steal cups. And perishing just a little bit.
I'm not sure worth the int, but I do like obelisks. I do like trebuchets. I'm just going to say that's their decision to make. Everybody's got to know their own value, and Cubs decided his is less than a trebuchet.
Yeah.
Oh, the damage. Damage onto that Athena. Didn't even have a chance to wind up the dash.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out, too,
Here comes the boom.
Here comes the boom. Ready or not. But X-Ball does have the fully upgraded Executioner, so just going to be doing that much more percent pen.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Pardon me, that much more damage with each passing auto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think new Executioner just absolutely slapping with those upgrades. Really liking it on carries. Liking it on jungles as well with the other item. Any pen these days is really good. Against good teams, it's hard to get past the front line sometimes, so don't get past them, just kill them. Good beads coming out of the Morrigan. Brazen getting
Oh,
away.
wow.
Gonna
Threading
come
the
as
needle
not.
between targets there is the disco ult. But a great strife to kind of break up the fight again. I
Yeah,
don't think that they need to chase here. I think they should probably pivot towards that Fire Giant side at this point.
absolutely. We know they've scared off the team. They've gotten the kill on Cub. We know at least 2 backed from their vantage point. Well, at least 1 is backed. I can see how they would have thought 2 would have. Looks like they're just pushing up the wave. Maybe they don't feel like they're ready for it.
Maybe not. I think they do have the damage though. With Paxki finishing off that Odysseus bow, with getting those damage ticks every 4 autos when your attack speed is probably close to 2.1. You're gonna burst it pretty quickly, even without crit. So I think they definitely could do it, and they've got the great secure coming out from the I'm a Monster. So having said that, value is also very low and probably should back.
There's this desire to try and stick around and get as much as you can.
Yes.
But yeah, all's well that ends well, I suppose.
Yeah, clinical experts have dubbed that the just one more wave complex, and many people, solo laners and junglers, are affected by it. And if you are affected by it, there are resources available to you. It doesn't have to be this way.
We'll have phone numbers down in the description. Meanwhile, just Ultimate's coming
great
out. Palau
dodgy
gets the
ult.
pull. Zilla
Oh,
gets
so much damage onto the Morrigan there.
manages to get out so far without a death, but health bar's low. Midman healing
Oh my
up a little
goodness.
bit. I can't believe they're not dead.
I can't believe they're not dead, and I can't believe how little damage Osiris took from that disco ult. That was maybe a 20th of his health bar. Pops.
Yeah.
And he's really only got the Oni Hunters, which is not... It's still good magic defense, but... and then he gets disintegrated by a physical character, so what do I know?
What do you know? Percent mitigations is very strong, is what I'm coming up with. They must have been over at that point. The beads to keep up the momentum. Decides to turn, though. Oh, what it must like to be Armor Wolf.
Oh my goodness.
And there he goes. Taken out by the Daji. What a crazy fight. With the carry down, that's as good for YouGotDiff'd as this could go. The push at least is going to be slowed.
Oh my goodness.
Well, with Wingman getting 2 kills.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's almost certainly a Fire Giant. You very rarely see the aggressive disco dash, and it paid off for them in spades. Osiris is up, but Osiris' steal isn't the best, and even with the teleport, I don't think he could get close enough to do it. So... maybe. Almost. Now, I don't know about the Athena ult coming in. They really need to pick up a kill here for this to be worth it, and I don't think they're going to be able to.
YouGotDiff'd making a Hail Mary play and it not working out. Just feeding the machine that is Panic at the Discordia at this point. They're only 4K ahead, so I gotta say YouGotDiff'd playing this well, globally speaking, but this last few minutes has just all been panic, 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 and the go button has been pressed.
Absolutely.
XP tells a different story with it being as high as it was. What's YouGotDiff'd got to do to come back into this game?
I feel like, and I feel like I say this on a lot of cast, but I think they've got to pick slightly better fights. I also feel like you can't be initiating the fight with the Daji ult. I feel like it's best used kind of in the middle after people have burned some beads, so that you're getting those pulls at the very least, or getting the damage off. I feel like YouGotDiff'd has to look for maybe little pickoffs or isolated engagements, because I don't think that these team fights are going their way in most cases. So... it is, of course, it's hard to, it's easy to say that, but it's hard for them to implement when Panic is in their jungle constantly. Good Daji ult coming out, gonna get at least one set of beads. Horus ult coming in as well. Athena is awfully poked out, but she does have the ult. If she's able to back, she'll be able to ult back in with no issue. Osiris also quite low, and Morgan is going to transform into Daji and get 2
Bulls.
kills. And
Double. Well, not a double kill per se,
boy.
but 2 kills. Panic, yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's tough to be that tower. It's tough to be YouGotDiff'd right now. 3 people staring at 5 with Fire Giant. Reasonably healthy.
Reasonably healthy. They've got the Horus ult to heal them up. Great
Aegis off the
Aegis.
X-Ball, yes. Just tearing up that tower.
And with this, now they do have 2 towers remaining, so they could push for the end here. Probably smarter to look and do the safer option, get that Titan health a little lower.
It is reasonable, especially, you know, with Hu Yi being there, Yatina being there. A lot of relics got used in those previous fights. You just want to take the for sure thing and not risk a wipe and a run down. You know, that's a real concern. I think with the meta being what it is, late game, a team getting a full wipe can do a lot of damage.
It really can, especially with respawn timers being as long as they are, the later it goes. So, now I think with player damage, could we take a look at that real quick? I'm pretty sure that the Xbalanque is still comfortably in the lead. Yeah, about 9k above the next one down, which is Scylla. So that is impressive. He has really gotten like maximum mileage out of this Xbalanque pick. And his final item choice, choosing to upgrade Death's Toll into Death's Temper. So every minion that he kills is going to increase that damage, stacking up to 10 times.
Yeah, you're trading the sustain for that extra attack speed, which with Silver Branch becomes power. I don't know the wisdom because X-Ball uses a lot of mana when it comes to these fights, but in the situation they're in, I can see him making a lot of use of it. For example, right there.
Right there, just absolutely shredding the opposition. And it's worth pointing out, X-Ball does have a fully stacked Transcendence, so mana isn't as much of a concern, I don't think.
This is true. This is true.
But at this point, I think they should just be pressuring Phoenixes, and it looks like they're doing just that. There's no objectives. They removed they removed gold off the map. Hogan's the zone. He set ult to counter.
Yeah.
And a big old burst heal.
The Phoenix down. We got the dodgy ult. We got some grabs. It looks like only Cub gets pulled, and Krazen doesn't manage to get anybody. They're going for the right Phoenix for the kill. I can't tell you which.
It is difficult to say at this point. Why not both?
Yeah.
Very late Xbalanque ult to kind of break apart this fight. Oh, but that's huge. Paxki taking down Armor Wolf on the Xbalanque. And that's probably going to spell an end to this particular fight. That's their primary source of objective damage at this point. So hard to see how they continue it unless they get a miraculous 5v4 wipe here.
Yeah. Oh, Discordia.
Oh.
God,
Wow.
it just seemed like
shredded.
Going for those kills. They just left Armor Wolf half elf all by himself. He was like, "We're doing the tower, right, guys?" And then immediately took tower aggro. Had to turn around. Was all by himself with low health and an easy pick for YouGotDiff'd. The Scylla ult does it a little off the mark.
But I'm not sure it matters.
Doing so much work. Is Panic throwing here?
Well, they're not catching, whatever the opposite of throwing. If they're not succeeding, that's not it. Okay, we do have the Horus ult kind of coming back in. I don't know about this. I think he's gonna, he's gonna die almost instantly. There's so much damage coming out from those characters.
What is he gonna do? Turn into Osiris and jump in? It's
now,
all aggression.
Actually, that might have just saved them the game. Taking out the Ho Yi. Now, they do still have their own Osiris and a Daji, but I don't think the objective damage is quite there.
I don't think it is. I don't think the stomach's going to be there, especially with Armor Wolf back in the fight, ready to 1v2 without a care in the world. Good luck, Chubby. Oh, the Crush manages to hit the damage even without the Sikkim. Armor Wolf not really healing up because of the starter upgrade.
Yeah, no sustain for him. So usually we would see maybe an Aussie come out here or, you know, upgraded Cowl, but he didn't elect for that. So yeah, his options are limited and he has no health pots. Now, granted, Hou Yi did not opt for an Aussie either, but his Cowl is giving him a ridiculous amount of lifesteal, so... Yeah, I can't praise Krazen enough for that play. That legitimately just saved the FG at the very least, possibly saved them the game. And I think they're gonna get this EFG for free. They are gonna lose the ESET ult, but that's small price to pay for an EFG at this point.
It really is, and at this point, you know, there's not a lot of cooldown, but no, 30%. I wasn't seeing the Pridwin because of the timer. I think that the time on that ultimate has to be pretty short. So they may have it for the final Titan push, depending on how this last fight goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't play ESET enough to remember what the base cooldowns are, but 30% cooldown reduction isn't going to hurt by any means. Athena's just going to get deleted. That's so much shred between Disco Ult and all the other damage coming through.
How many times has that already happened?
So many. Big Scylla ult coming out, gonna do some poke, but the regen from EFG is just a little too much. Osiris is gonna fall before the Lord of the Afterlife comes out, and I think that's game.
That he said ultimate with fire minions and everything. The Titan is just a whisker, and it is down. That is game one, going to Panic at the Discordia.
Yeah, bit of a back and forth for the first probably 10 minutes of that game. We saw First Blood really quickly in solo lane, and then it just traded off. But with a few really good team fights, and frankly a spectacular quadra kill coming out from Armor Wolf, I think the stat line really tells the story here. 18, 4, and 9 coming out from the Xbalanque.
Yes, that Xbalanque was absolutely... Well, relevant is an understatement. Just devastating. Really tore through everyone, and you gotta really give credit to Armor Wolf to be able to get off not only that much damage, but that many last hits and that many kills.
Yeah. And I'm trying to do the mental math here, but that's gotta be like 60 or 70% kill participation for him. Like 27 out of their 35 kills, so that's just a ridiculous stat by itself. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then just for the matter of being everywhere, he was rotating. It was excellent. Yeah, I think that we can go ahead and start spectating the next game. It looks like they're about to fire it up. While we have a minute waiting for that, I guess I really just want to talk about what does YouGotDiff'd do in this next. Like, do you ban X-Ball? Like, are the hunters even all that different to be able to justify that? Do they need to change their team comp? It looked like they had something. It's just it fell apart right there at the end.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things I'd probably do differently. I would probably either try and pick or ban the X-Ball. I will also say the Hou Yi performed very well. No slight against him. I think that they are not getting as far in that game without the Hou Yi, but the X-Ball was definitely a problem for them, and I think that getting rid of the kind of disruptive ult that X-Ball has is going to be useful. If they do that, though, that does risk... I think they banned Uller. Well, they banned Freya, definitely, but that does risk either of those two picks getting through. So it's kind of a pick your poison sort of scenario.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll close with this. I don't know that I would be target banning any other character on here. I do think it was primarily a Xbalanque difference.
Yeah, I think that rather than specific picks and bans, it's going to have to be a strategy of setting him behind early. I think that they picked on Krazen reasonably enough. He was a dodgy, attackable target, but I think they need to figure out how to keep that dual lane from taking off the way that it did.
Absolutely. I do also think that from a support standpoint, they probably could have benefited from having a more aura-centric items earlier. I think that just starting with the breastplate and pestilence for the Athena probably didn't help them quite as much as a sovereignty would have. So
Yeah.
maybe a build difference, maybe a band difference. Um, and speaking of bands, we're into bands.
We're into bands, and right out
And
of the gate, the Morrigan.
now I don't hate this band because they were making so much use out of that dual dodgy, or basically the counter dodgy alt.
Yes.
Um, so I like that, and if anything, it also forces them to pick up something new, which can be valuable in its own way.
Yeah, no, I think that this is a good idea. I think banning the Horus is also a good idea because we know what a signature pick it is. Um, I think that leaves the Bakasura, which is what Midman has historically gone to after that. So they need to ask themselves, what jungle do they want chomping on their butt all game? But then, we're leaving the Freya. Does Armor Wolf want to play the Freya?
That is the question. I know that she's kind of fallen a little bit in terms of what people are prioritizing. Um, the other thing too, I don't think her ult is quite as effective as the Xbalanque ult. While it is damage and it is a banish, it's also fairly brief, and you can really only target, 1 to 2
Hmm.
people at a time because
And
that's just how people group.
it's not the best escape, like
No,
if you're
it's not.
using it as a tool to get out, it's there's ways to maneuver around that if you got the whole team responding to a Freya. So I think that you could play around the Freya if you specifically know that that's what you're doing.
I would concur with that. And rounding out the bands for YouGotDiff'd, we've got the Raven, which item changes aside, I think is a very strong character right now, so don't hate it. And then Kepri and Uller on the other side. Um, and we have an Insta Freya lock followed by an Insta Lancelot lock, excuse me. Um, which
Do do we think it's going to be jungle?
Up to this point, that seems to be where most people are playing Lancelot. I think he's actually best in the solo lane, but I, there's a conflict of interest there though for me. So I have to say that I'm paid to by the solo laning union. Uh, and I don't think that I've seen Midman play Lancelot. I mean, I'm sure he can, but yeah, we'll kind of just have to see. It is interesting that the Freya got locked in first because typically that gets counterpicked fairly often the sooner you lock
Mhm.
it in.
I I wonder if maybe they overestimated Panic's desire to play the Freya, because picking it first is sort of that shadow ban. We're going to keep it from them from having it. Um, are they going to be able to use it well enough to justify taking the Freya?
Hmm. That is the question. And Cupid getting locked in as well. With recent changes to how Heart Bomb works on minions, we've been seeing a lot more of him. Uh, I think it's kind of a toss-up, honestly, the Cupid into Freya, because they can each kind of avoid the other. Cupid's got the dash, Freya's got the banish and the ult. And Cupid has pretty good sustain with those hearts. So can match a lot of what Freya puts out.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I do like seeing the Yuang. I think that got to be one of the top mid laners at the moment, just from ability to do those numbers, get the damage off, and have certain, I'm going to say, difficult to kill quality. You jump on him, he's just instantly floating in the air and CC immune. And as long as he's not too far away from relative safety, it is real difficult to lock him down.
It really is. He gets in the air, and you go and read a chapter of War and Peace, and you come back, and he's still in the air. It's
Hmm.
really aggravating.
It
I am
is.
glad that he's finally getting recognition, though, because I got that man to Diamond within the first few days after he got released, and was surprised that people thought he was undertuned.
Yeah,
And he is
well,
really quite strong.
He's anything but undertuned now, and so
Yeah.
I think that some gods take a little bit more trouble. Maybe what do we call that? The skill floor, the
Hmm.
point where they become actually viable. It requires a little bit more skill out of Yu Huang than some of the other gods. But I guarantee you that anybody playing in this premier division is able to make it work.
Oh, absolutely. Some very talented players across the board here. Now, as we move into the second phase of banning, we've got the Baba Yaga and the Disco coming out, and then the Bastet and the King Arthur. Now, value somewhat of a Bastet aficionado, a GM duel player who currently has the highest rated, highest ranked Bastet in duel. Fun fact. So, good target ban there. And we are going to see the Apollo locked in. And I kind of
Hmm.
wonder if that isn't going to be Apollo solo, because I think Krazen's played that a couple of times now.
Yeah, I actually think that you're probably right. Just because we know that Krazen likes to do crazy stuff, I think that Cupid is going to go in the dual lane, and I think Wingman is going to bring out something spicy as well. Um, just just a guess.
I would agree with that. Now, if this Apwash gets locked in, is it an Apwash solo? My heart hopes no, but the longer they hover on it, the more feared I become.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Now, the Erlang getting locked in, he's kind of gone through the ringer the last couple months in terms of getting the knockup removed from his kit and kind of getting his one changed around a little bit, but he's still a pretty potent early game jungler, able to exert quite a lot. We are going to see the Nike get locked in. Um, Nike gets a lot of flack because her kit's pretty straightforward, but it is a very reliable kit. Very difficult to block or clear, short of the hard CC, obviously. Um,
Yeah, the big slow in
Interesting.
the ultimate, I think that
Yeah.
can have a huge effect in a team fight, especially with the addition of a Sobek ult, and then with Yu Wang and Freya just doing pew pew all over the place. So, hmm,
Now, hmm. Now I don't hate this pick. I think and Midman or not Midman, goodness, Wingman has played her before in the mid with great success. Um, Having said that, they don't have too much of a front line. They've really opted more towards damage with this draft that they have here. And on the other side, YouGotDiff'd has a much beefier front line.
yeah, I mean between the Nike and the Sobek, just tanky brawly fighters, and for that matter, an Erlong jungle, still a reasonably up in the cut sort of a jungle option.
Mhm.
Although Lancelot, really hard to pin down. So that might be part of it. Is we've got good dashes on the Cupid and the Apollo. Soul has to separate and can just run around and for that matter run through things without any issue. Maybe Panic is just really banking on that squirrely, hard to pin down playstyle.
One would think so. One
Mm.
would think. All right, so we've seen the draft. Who do you think who do you think has the edge here as we wait
Well,
for the game to launch?
talking about just gods, you can't look at Yu Huang and Freya and not think that there's going to be some serious potential there in that pick.
Mhm.
I think that there's maybe a comparability there. Cupid is actually really strong at the moment. We're seeing a lot of that in the SPL games, Soul as well, and then Apollo can rotate. And so the thing about Apollo rotating early is it's so good at chasing down those last hits that would have got away otherwise. Not a tanky guy, but not necessarily in the fight in the same way that a solo would classically. If we get a big enough lead with that, I think that that's going to be the win condition. But as far as picks and bans, I gotta give it again to YouGotDiff'd because I just think that that's a good solid team comp. But Panic always doing some crazy stuff.
They really are. One thing I will say for YouGotDiff'd draft, they don't really have any stuns. They've got, I think, a single. I'm not even sure if the Sobek pluck counts as a stun. I think it's a stun and then a knock up or a pullback, basically.
Hmm.
And typically you'd want to see more stuns coming out into a Lancelot specifically, or somebody that does tick damage so that his shield can't build up as quickly. And we're not really seeing that here, so that's my kind of my one concern. But I do like their draft. Nike is going to be really difficult to kill in the back line. Erlang's going to have a taunt, and as long as they're letting or creating space for the Yu Huang and the Frey to free cast, essentially, I think they're going to look really good. Having said that, the fact that Lancelot made it through and didn't get banned and got picked up is mortifying, and I have no doubt that Midman is going to perform on that at a very high level.
Yeah, I really do look forward to seeing how this plays out. And I guess we won't have to wait long as the game is getting loaded up. Chat, let me hear from you. If you got thoughts about who won the picks and bans, if you got thoughts about how this is going to play out based off of the players, let's hear it right now. Because I think that this is going to be an interesting game. Either Panic 2-0s this right here and now, or YouGotDiff'd has an epic comeback and takes us to a third game. We're going to find out.
Gonna find out. And it legitimately could go either way. I know that the game at the end of the last game looked more like a runaway victory, but it really was quite a close-fought game for much of that last
It really was. It was only at a specific moment towards the end of the game that I feel like Panic just put on the gas and was able to just get more out of every fight rather than it being close to an even trade. So if YouGotDiff'd can make just little adjustments to their play style, I really do think that this is within striking distance of a win for them.
Absolutely. And right off the bat, we're going to see a little bit of a deviation. So with Bumba's hammer, thankfully being nerfed into oblivion, we've seen junglers tend to gravitate more towards this Eye of the Jungle start with more value being put on vision. Erlang going with the mannequins, which makes a lot of sense. I think that's pretty common, being an auto attack focused character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got double Eye of the Jungle coming out of Panic. Actually, I think that they may be able to get lots of value out of that come late game. The ability to de-ward super strong as you're setting up for fire. And then not having any Eye of the Jungles in YouGotDiff'd. I think that may be a factor. Interesting to see a Nike going without a starting item.
Yeah, okay, I want to talk about this for a second. So this is pretty interesting for a couple of reasons. One, Nike gets a couple of cleaves in her auto attack chain, so
Mm-hmm.
she's already going to be doing okay from a clear standpoint. If she had decided to go Bluestone, that would also be pretty great because you're getting the rend, you're getting the protection shred, so that's going to clear even more, basically. So I'm curious. I don't think that Nike really benefits a lot from what I would assume is going to be a Golden Blade.
Mm-hmm.
But I stand ready to have my mind changed in this regard.
I will say that a Golden Blade proccing on cleaves will probably be very fast cleave, and so maybe just getting that really early lane clear is the plan.
Oh my, a lot of actually a surprising amount of damage. Just getting focused onto the Jing Chen early and kind of ignoring the wave entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that can be frustrating because Jing Chen's whole passive is about getting his health back.
It is. A lot of HP 5. Definitely got the mana potions on your boy. I meant the health potions. The health potions on Xing Chen. Oh, but the pluck.
Oh, man.
Damage coming out. If she gets ranged autos, there they are.
Oh, that might
and
be
that's
it.
first blood.
Wow, first blood at slightly over 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
And no trade out kill anywhere else on the map, so already we've deviated from game one.
Huge improvement for YouGotDiff'd.
It is interesting too. I don't get to see Apollo in the solo lane terribly often, but it's actually kind of an even trade. I feel like Apollo has decent clear and not really cancelable clear. So have to see how that goes.
Yeah, and you know, Apollo can mez the Nike in the middle of her clear for the rend.
Yes, he can. Now, and there's that
lot.
tick damage getting taken off the horse almost immediately. And that's just the power of that mannequins. Now, those are some low health bars.
They are just all the way around. Wingman is, I'm sure, licking his lips right now.
Oh no! Oh no, have we seen this story before?
There it is.
Goodness.
That's 2 kills on Freya at 2 minutes. You hate to see it unless you are the Freya, in which case you love to see it. Get that Freya ahead early. This will be a totally different game.
Absolutely, and we are going to see that purple buff invade. Now, Cupid has decent steal potential, but...
Yeah, once that heart bomb gets on there, there's nothing you can do but let it explode. I suppose you could reset.
Yeah, you could reset, but then you'd have to reposition, and it's a whole thing. But they are going to give up that purple buff, so no, not going to successfully invade there. But that has to be great for the early Freya clear, because I think really with Freya and a lot of other magical ADCs, you're trying to get that Hecate online as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, 3 minutes in, about 1,000 gold lead for YouGotDiff'd. That is, it's pretty huge. Oh gosh, Nike fighting into it.
Oh my goodness. Now, she is
just hit ultimate. Just hit ultimate.
That might be enough.
That was enough.
Well done from YouGotDiff'd. They're really getting the maximum benefit out of these characters early on.
They really are. Yeah, definitely. When we talk about the adjustments you need to make, definitely seeing them. That's not the direction I thought he'd throw him.
Yeah, I can't say that any of us thought it was going to go that way. But
I don't think the Freya was in trouble. I think that the Xing Chen was. Having said that, you know, still, the support instinct is strong in that one. And they're just going to go ahead and get a little bit more farm. Try and stretch out this lead, get some momentum.
Yeah. Now, quite a lot of poke on the Erlang, but it is also an Erlang, so he's going to, you know, run away to safety, basically.
Wow.
Kind of an early Freya ult there.
It was. She is low, so it might have been a combination of escape and damage, but now the Lancelot is there. He's going to do horsey things.
Oh, good Panish, but I think the tick damage is going to finish that one off. So, Panic finally getting on the board with the follow-up kill into the Freya.
That's right, it's Cub's revenge, taking out the Freya that's killed him twice.
And... Oh, Nike doing Nike things.
Yeah, the Mez does nothing, the dash does nothing.
Yeah, really kind of a great equalizer to a lot of the things that Krazen likes to do in the solo lane. Now, she is a little caught out, but she does have ult, and I think she'll be able to get away with no issue here.
Yeah, ultimate backup, although Lancelot has ult as well, and I don't believe he can be slowed on that horse. In fact, I don't believe he can hardly be anything on that horse.
Yeah, just the pinnacle of god design right there.
Yeah, he can't even be sunburned on the horse. Like, they wrote that in. He's immune to all effects.
We said it was excessive, but yeah. We said it was excessive. Hi-Rez said no. So here we are, broken and miserable.
Freya being really bold right now. Meanwhile...
Now, she does have the full Hecate, so she's going to be able to sustain through so much of this poke, and her boxing potential is going to be through the roof.
That's true. Having gotten killed and had to go back to spend her money, Cupid has not. So the Freya has a strong advantage in 1v1 scenarios right now.
It really does. Now, Cupid is probably going to go towards Transcendence, so that advantage will start to get equalized a little bit once he eventually gets his stacks online.
Absolutely.
But until then, it's very much the Freya show.
Yeah, and it's all about knowing where your lane opponent is in their build.
Absolutely. Now, and Freya also does have a slight level lead, but that is Armor Wolf finishing off the Transcendence, so when he gets back to lane, he's pretty much never going to have a mana problem for the rest of this game.
And Cupid does have pretty good sustain with those hearts.
Absolutely.
Lancelot looping around.
Lancelot doing Lancelot things, but they are going to stay in the fight with Erlang being here, so that is...
Slow's good, the root is good.
Oh
that
my goodness.
Kill is good value, giving value for his team, taking out Midman.
And there's
Apollo having to ult, get away from certain doom. There's 4 people in the right lane.
Yeah, that was a good rotation from everybody there. Yu Huang probably didn't need to, but, you know, better to get a little bit of something than nothing, I guess. So, and crucially, Erlang picking up a kill there, so that's going to benefit him from the gold standpoint. So yeah, at about 7:30, we've got a 2.5k gold lead. Oh my goodness, and we've seen this happened last game, trying to steal the cups and getting poked out, although it does look like he'll get out of this one.
Well, that's a good change for Panic at the Discordia, not getting killed over trebuchet chalices.
It's the little things.
The adjustments have been made.
Yeah. They have been made indeed.
You know, I kid, but the damage from this Freya is real and something to be watched out for.
Yeah, almost 5k damage at 8 minutes. That's pretty impressive. She's been really making, oh my goodness, so much damage onto the Lancelot. But the Soul with the Stellar Burst able to finish him off.
The Erlang going so deep to try and get the last hits on Midman. Dies for his efforts while Midman gets away with just the tiniest sliver of health.
Man, that rend damage is something. With Apollo not having an ult, yeah, that's going to be a dead Apollo. Credit going to the Yu Huang.
Absolutely. Another kill for YouGotDiff'd. Looking good deep in the jungle, trying to secure this enemy speed buff.
Yeah, and they are taking a lot of time to do this. Oh, that is quite a lot of poke onto Lancelot.
That pluck was so good.
Beautiful pluck into the Nike damage. Now, does Sobek get out?
Oh, the push from...
Oh!
Apollo was able to ult in.
Now, this might be a dead Yu Huang on the back end.
I think so. It's going to be so difficult for him to do anything.
Oh, but it's going to get traded out almost instantly by the Erlang. Young Cub with a delayed ult there to secure the Nike, and with that, it's just down to maybe a 1400 gold lead.
Wow. Yeah, crazy plays coming out of Young Cub, managing to get most of the kills on his team. Credit, though, to the Soul, who's got the most damage, and the other 2 kills. You know, definitely... I don't know how that fight could have been played better from Panic's point of view, since YouGotDiff'd was so deep, and I see why they were trying to push their advantage. YouGotDiff'd was trying to get more value with the advantage that they have, but I think they overstayed their welcome.
I think they did too, and I think that the XP graph kind of reflects that a little bit. We had some very good peaks followed by some very low valleys. So
yeah, we have basically reset this to a tie game. A little bit of a gold difference, enough to be appreciable, I think. But you know, the XP is down to practically even, and YouGotDiff'd has got to figure out how to basically get back to their former moments of glory.
Very much so. Now we do have maybe not a lull, but it does look like Nike's taken that tier 1 tower pretty early on. So it's going to free her up to rotate. It's also kind of going to free up the Apollo to get more farm, because all he has to do is kind of hang back and wait. So, does look like it's going to be a Pyro for Panic, though.
A bold Pyro choice.
A bold Pyro choice indeed. So that's going to cut the gold lead down again to about 800. So... yeah, back and forth, back and forth.
It really is.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, just saying that, you know, you see YouGotDiff'd trying to get what value they can, doing the Scorpion, trying to hang on to the lead that they can, but with Panic making these wild plays to grab the Pyro right out from under their nose, that will catch up the difference pretty fast.
Oh, and we are gonna see a dead Erlung and an Apollo ult.
Yeah, that is all 5 of Panic over there and left. You won't getting a kill
that's
though.
so much
YouGotDiff'd.
damage. Yeah, dueling dragons. Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, if you could figure out where the damage from you... Okay.
Oh, interesting. So it looked like maybe Young Cub was trying to chase him down and he pathed into the Gold Fury pit.
Yeah, that's exactly what that was. Get wrecked, Crub. You're not getting the credit for this kill. That's what Russo was saying. Ooh. Cupid, 20% health and on the offensive.
Yeah, it's not something you see every day, but it's working out for him.
You know, when you see that, you got to ask yourself, what does he know that I don't?
Exactly.
It makes you want to back off all on its own.
It really does.
Careful, he's bulging with what might be muscles.
It could be muscles, could be fluff. We have no way of knowing. Now, we do see some interesting build choices coming out here. We've got Soul Gem being built onto the Yu Huang, probably going to go... I can't imagine it's going to be a Book of Thoth, so probably a Soul Reaver in this 3rd item slot.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the Sobek first item, Chronos Pendant.
Yeah. You know, I'm seeing that a lot on supports. I'm not a support main. I don't claim to be a support main. I'm not a fan. I like my supports like I like my women tanky and in front of me.
Right, yeah. Words to be spoken again to make sure that I heard them right the first time. Now then, moving forward.
How to read the cast in 30 simple steps by Nathan DePaulo. No,
Yeah.
The Chronos Pendant on the support, it's popular for the cooldown, but there's so many good cooldown items that are tank and support items. I question the value.
Yeah, and Sobek doesn't have the longest base cooldowns anyway, so... I mean, granted, having said that, it does seem to be working for him, because he's got 6 assists and he's been involved across the map.
He's certainly doing a lot. The ultimate out of the
they are
Erlong.
investing a lot onto this Cupid here.
Armor Wolf never giving up, playing it down to the last second, dashing in.
And it is going to be a kill for the Sobek, securing it, I think, with the with his 3.
Well played, Rousseau.
Well played, Rousseau. But if we look on the right, Apollo split pushing. And that is going to bring out the teleport from Nike. And they're still going to go for the Gold Fury. So, oh my goodness. Was that a steal with the ult or with the... Wow.
I did not see what took it. It just went away. Gosh. The fights have been so crazy. 2 down for Panic at this point. YouGotDiff'd really starting to jump into the driver's seat right here, but with the gold, it's practically even.
Yeah, Panic actually taking a... Well, yeah, it's almost nothing, but...
The slightest of gold leads.
The 2 minions worth of gold lead.
Get those minions, guys. What are you doing?
And worth pointing out, too, YouGotDiff'd has a pretty substantial Chalice lead at this point. Just looking at the outlines of each of those obelisks, I think that they only need 2 more, and Panic probably needs 4 or 5.
Yeah,
so...
I think all things being equal, having a trebuchet really does give you an advantage if you specifically use it at a time that the team is ready to take advantage. You push it to get a response, get an objective, that does give you that lead. You push it because you want to take a tower in that particular lane, you know, just get the team together and go with it. So it's a nice thing to rally around as long as it's strategized.
Absolutely. And it feels like we finally have a little bit of a moment to breathe. There's not a fight happening anywhere on the map, knock on wood, this second.
That doesn't even sound like these 2 teams. and the Pyromancer has been started. Get ready for that next fight.
Yeah. So a lot of posturing at this point. One thing I'm kind of surprised by, haven't really seen a lot from the Lancelot so far. We've seen a fair amount of rotations, but we haven't really seen any kills. Supporting in a lot of kills, but not securing any himself.
Yeah, it definitely feels like we talked about Horus being a comfort pick. This is whatever the opposite of that is. Less of a comfort pick.
Discomfort pick, if you will.
I will.
Oh my goodness, that just, even with the Cupid ult, that Freya damage is something.
It really was. The ult was good, the dash was good, but the Freya damage was better, and it did what needed to be done. Oh, the Mez, hardly lasting any time at all, does manage to get away with the ultimate. Oh, but he goes back in.
Going back in.
On the Nike of all, but manages to get the kill.
What happened there? Where? Oh my goodness. I'm trying to figure out what the rotation call was there. That there were so many from Panic and just the Sobek in the back, but I think we're gonna see a reset here, with each side losing sort of a carry. I guess they could posture around Pyro, but...
Yeah, going back in for that Nike, I think, kept YouGotDiff'd from being able to do something on the heels of the Armor Wolf kill. Lancelot very deep.
Speaking of which, now
he's on his side.
He's on his side, so he is deep on someone's side of the map.
That's true. Coming to save Cupid? Trying to punish the aggression, I think, coming out of this Erlong and Freya.
I will say this, I do think Lancelot benefits a lot from kind of going the Soul Eater build. And with Midman not having that here, it does kind of restrict how long he can stay in these fights. He does get sustained from Eye of the Jungle, but it's not really the same as like a burst heal coming off of his 2 or his 1.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, especially because he has so much ability damage to offer in a team fight that applies in so many different ways. You know, just get all that healing. Straight to the Pyro. It looks like he's on a ward. I don't think they realize. Look how on top of each other those two wards are. The response is there, but it's too slow. Pyromancer goes the way of Panic.
Yep, and that was a right place, right time sort of thing.
It really was. Good response from Krazen to get the damage on that Pyromancer so fast.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at builds now. Krazen, second item Oboe, so objective damage is not going to be an issue for them, which it already wasn't going to be an issue with them between having a soul and a Cupid, but the extra ticks from Odibo aren't going to hurt either.
Yeah, for sure. Their ability to shred a Fire Giant is going to be crazy. Once they get Fire Giant, their ability to shred a tower is going to be crazy, as long as they can all survive.
Yeah. The only thing that's missing from this comp is Young Cub playing a Fafnir for maximum ADC boosting power.
Yeah, just 100% cheese.
Absolutely.
Like a perfect pizza.
The perfect pizza. The mozzarella stacked up by the foot. Or whatever. I don't know.
Just golden and delicious. Now I want pizza. Thanks, Henergy.
That is one of the many services I provide, is making other people want food.
I appreciate it.
Now, at this point, we're seeing a cluster from YouGotDiff'd on this Primal Fury.
Primal's been started. It's so
it's
low.
Already been stolen once.
From the Xing Chen.
Now, this is good. They waited out the Xing Chen ult, and they are going to secure it, and that's almost certainly a dead Xing Chen here.
Almost certainly. There it is. And meanwhile, Apollo was split pushing and is now bungling the jungle. Cupid ult used on the Sobek. Oh, Sobek dead in a hurry. He is not very tanky to physical damage.
No, he's not. That Witchblade is only going to work so much. And Cupid having almost the full Lightblade tree is going to just shred him real fast. Nike going to fall as well to the soul damage.
Absolutely. Speaking of soul damage, he took top damage for a second there, but Chubby Ostrich not to be outdone. Getting a kill and getting the numbers himself, exactly.
Now that was a perhaps unnecessarily aggressive dash by Cupid.
And aggression punished over and over by Chubby Ostrich on this Yu Wang. That is a triple kill. Do you think Yu Wang is good? I think Yu Wang might be good.
That is the rumor. And I think Chubby Ostrich is doing a lot to perpetuate that rumor.
He is certainly playing it well. Sitting right on top of the player damage. Wingman Ghost just behind him on the soul.
Yeah, very, very close in the stat line there. And even after all of that, all of those kills, they regained a partial gold lead of maybe 1,000 tops. So it's still anybody's game.
The back and forth in this game is insane.
It is. It is a great set to watch. And Cub is, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, in the back line yet again.
Yeah. He did not get the message that this was an even game. He is playing like his team has all the advantage in the world.
Yes, and at this point, I guess he does have the Chronos pendant, but that ult's still going to be down for a good chunk of time. We also are seeing our first level 20s come out, so Yu Huang hitting 20, Freya hitting 20. And Yu Huang is already invested into that Pendulum of Ages. So 30% cooldown, or I think actually it'll be 40% cooldown once he finishes Staff of Mirrodin, but he's going to be absolutely swinging.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We are getting into that stage where everybody is doing a ton of damage, and any misplay can be tremendously punished. Apollo getting lifted up. Now
they are making the choice to reset here, which they're resetting and they're also a little split. Oh my goodness, that's so much damage. That is going to be a dead Apollo. Good Jing Chen ult to separate them. Huge soul ult, and Lancelot is on the board with a double.
Absolutely. Biding his time for the perfect moment. Speaking of which, Cupid ult coming out, getting the stun onto Rousseau. Triple kill for Midman. Does he stop here? Does he keep going?
He
wants more.
He wants more, and they should be backing out of this as quickly as possible, but I think the Yu Huang might just be conceding the fact that he can't quite run away as quickly as his compatriot.
Yeah. Was that?
Oh, that is gonna... Oh, wow. That was huge, actually. I don't think that was a blink. That was an Aegis coming out of the Cupid, and gonna be a huge shutdown onto the Yu Huang.
Yeah, it was a blink out of the Nike earlier. I didn't realize it was Nike that was running. I thought it was Freya at the moment, and then I realized my mistake. But nearly a deicide with only the Nike surviving. This is an easy Fire Giant at 24 minutes for Panic.
Yeah. Worth pointing out a couple more items here. It looks like Nike has opted to go Frostbound and Animosity. So, gonna be slowing them down and getting all that bonus damage based off of health, which Nike has a lot of.
That explains the build. Not wanting to go into Benevolence early, but wanting to go into Animosity as soon as she can build it. Yeah, auto attacks galore, taking advantage of the cleaves as well.
Very much so. And I would imagine this last item for Nike is going to be Spirit Robe, just to kind of continue the theme of damage mitigation.
Yeah, I am curious to see how they finish this out. We're really, I think, coming to the stage where any mistakes are going to be tremendously punished here.
Okay, sort of a defensive Jing Chen ult just to get people off the gold. Makes perfect sense. It is going to be a blink from the Lancelot and an ult. Yu Huang is going to make it out, but Sobek will not. Oh my goodness,
getting another kill.
That damage. Oh, Freya, I think, could have finished off the Cupid there. But, oh boy.
Well,
lots going on there. That's some soul damage for you.
You know, Midman really took his time to get online, but once he did, getting so many kills, so much damage coming out for Panic, a lonely Nike again left to defend Fire Giant on the team. This is looking dire. Phoenix goes down. Nike's still alive, but all against the world.
Yeah, that'll be a dead Nike, and I don't know that Sobek can adequately defend this.
Not
Especially if he's going to get ulted into 5. So that will be game 2 getting closed out by Panic at the Disco.
absolutely. That is the second game for Panic. They are the winners of this match, and well fought. A lot of great play coming out of YouGotDiff'd. Absolutely exceptional. But, looking at it, Panic was able to get those wins. I think we can have an interview set up here. They're in the lounge. We gotta move them. So if that's something we're able to do, we've got players from Panic at the Discordia that would like to talk
Okay,
about their win.
sure thing. Let's bring him on up.
Move to. All right. So we've got
You
members
managed
of
to
Panic
move.
at the Discordia. Oh, there they are. We got members of Panic at the Discordia in the booth with us right here. How are you guys feeling? Are you feeling hype after those wins?
Honestly, we're feeling pretty great.
Yeah. I mean, we were expected to win though, because like I don't know. I feel like we've gone against them and won before, so it was just kind of like one more win to end the season.
Well, that's excellent to hear. Love to hear the hype. Love to hear that you guys were feeling confident going into it. I got to ask about the strategy. Did you feel like you got what you wanted in picks and bans for the first game, or were you having to make some adjustments?
First game we just wanted to get our picks in, like individually, and since we all got our picks in individually, as in like we wanted Discordia for like, I would love it just because like I get the damage boost off it, and I got the X ball to compensate for that damage boost. So I think overall the draft first game went really well for us, and Krasen got to place Morgan for the 50th
Yeah.
time in a row. So
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
that's starting to become a signature solo lane pick for you.
yeah, I got banned game 2.
Yeah, the Morgan got banned, so did the Horus, and so you guys had to make some adjustments. So the Apollo solo lane. Tell me
Oh
the
no.
logic there.
I typed into another Discord chat and I was like, what should I play? And someone said Apollo, so I said, all right, I'm playing Apollo.
Just
Okay.
a poll for the friends.
I'm
Yeah.
hearing that now actually. First time I'm
Well,
hearing that.
you gotta love it. I like the confidence. The execution was really good. Credit to 0 to 100 though. I feel like they played really well. You guys are the premier team at the moment, like as far as the one in top seat, as far as I understand. And so they knew that they were going against a strong team, and I felt like they had a pretty good showing at several stages of the game. Were you ever worried?
It was definitely rough in the early game. Um, at least for my lane. Unfortunately, we did not want to give Freya like 2 early kills, but that's how it is. Fortunately though, I was able to like farm efficiently pretty well. Um, I think what really turned the game around was that one fire giant fight. After we got picks on everyone, we were able to come back from that, take fire giant, and just snowball our lead off that.
Yeah, that
Which,
seems to be the panic signature move these days.
mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like our team fighting is just better as a team than most other teams. Like, we're always just shot calling, be like, all right, we're targeting this person, we're targeting this person, we're targeting this person, like all like together. And
What's the
other
secret
teams
to
don't
your
really do that.
success? Is it just the better comms that you're alluding to?
I think that, and then just player individual skill. Like Armor Wolf is just always doing everything for us, and it kind of just makes it easier for everyone.
What do you think, Armor Wolf? Is that right?
Well, I think I do fantastic at inting by dashing in.
I call it making yourself, putting yourself in do or die positions. And if you do, then it wasn't a misplay at all.
Yeah, we can safely say that you're the pioneer of aggressive positioning with some of those Cupid dashes. So
They were great.
worked out very
I'll
well
take
for you.
that.
It added to the drama of the cast, I will say that. All right, so for the teams listening at home, how do other teams beat you?
Ban the Morgan. Ban the Morgan.
Okay, Ben.
The respect bands are coming out. I can see them.
Yeah, and we kind of saw that with game 2. The Freya did make it through after getting banned out game 1. So is that would you say? I guess that was for the opposite team, but
They first picked it. We didn't get to
But they
see if
did-
you would have taken it or not.
yeah, if they hadn't taken it, was that something that you guys would have prioritized?
I don't really think so. I think for now we just wanted to try out like other ADCs. Like I think Freya's fallen off a little bit, and I think our plan was even if Freya got first pick, we just pick up the Xingqiang just to reduce her damage a bit.
Yeah, except Cub decided to feed her 2 kills.
Unfortunate,
Yeah.
but you know what? It worked out in the end.
I'll make sure to tease him about that more
Yeah.
when I get the chance. Well, really, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for a great set. I feel like you guys played
Thank you for having
really great. Yeah, very much enjoyed having you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys have a good night. You guys have a good stream. I'll catch y'all later.
Thank you very
Sounds
much.
good.
Later.
What nice guys, good players and friendly people. You know, it's rare that you get to see both. Love it from the Panic at the Discordia team. I think we're gonna start wrapping up the stream here. This was a banger of a set, a lot of action, a lot of ups and downs, the type of drama you like to see, and the wins went to Panic at the Discordia. So credit to them. I've been your host, Nathan DePaulo. Energy, why don't you send us off with a few smart words?
Few smart words. Wards win games. I guess ban out the Shiblanque if it has a really good showing, and always check that fire giant. You never know when someone might be sneaking it. So I think we're gonna look for somebody to raid as well. So we'll try and find somebody here real quick. But
Well,
yeah.
while we're doing that, I'm just going to mention again that was the last game in the main series. We're going to be going into round robin brackets in the Premier. We're also going to be going into bracket play in the Challenger League. So we're coming towards the end of season 2 for the Husky Fang, and so get ready for the best, most stakes filled games yet from this season. So keep tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the Twitch. Make sure you catch these upcoming games because these are the ones you don't want to miss.
Absolutely, the must-see TV event of the year.
Well said.
Indeed. So from all of us here, have a pleasant summer evening, and stay tuned for the raid.